everybody, this is Beth. I'm at Quilts and Lace, and it is not 4:30.
Not 5:30. It is what it is, Beth. It is what it is.
Oh, another great day here at Quilts and Lace, though. We had some new people here and showed machines, and so anyway, all very good stuff. But thank you for joining us tonight. I am sitting in front of a beautiful luminaire machine, and so I want to have you imagine yourself in front of your beautiful luminaire or your future luminaire or Solaris or whatever nice machine you have there at home, and you're getting ready to do embroidery. And the machine is gorgeous that you have, so of course you want what you create on it to be just as good. And if you're embroidering something, to get best results, using the correct needle is just as important in embroidery as it is when you are sewing. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about needles for embroidery and things to kind of think about. I was just doing an embroidery class today, and I guess to remember from the get-go is select the needle based on the thread and the fabric that you are using. So do that first. And I'm going to explain a little bit about what is the difference between an embroidery needle and sewing needle, and then the different options for embroidery needles. This is a little diagram of something that we have hanging up by our needles. And of course, when you look at needles, and here I've got a selection of needles. I'll put them on this white thing here.
I hope you can remember
and
where they go.
Other than the colors on top, you know, when you look at them like that, they really do look like pretty much all the same. So Thank goodness they've got the colors on top, which tells me what it is. But if I were to get up close and personal with these needles, then I'd start seeing these different things here. And the two things that, well, there's actually three things that you're looking at. One is, this is the eye of the needle. And you can see in each of these, the shape and the size of it is different. So the eye of the needle is where your thread goes through. The other thing is the points. Some of these are super sharp, some of these are tapered to a sharp point, some are tapered long, some are short, and some have a ball point to it, like this universal. They don't even have the ballpoint one on here. So all of those things make a difference depending on what you're sewing on. And so I want to, I guess, try to clear up some of the things that might make you question what needle that you should use. All right. So when you're embroidering, the most commonly digitized thread size is a 40 weight. And I did bring my little sample here that I've shown in the past. And so here is my 40 weight thread right here. So this is a little embroidery of a 40 weight thread. And of course your thread sizes can change, 60, 80, 100. And on all of these I've changed the thread, but I haven't changed the material that I'm stitching on. But when you're selecting a needle, like I said from the beginning, is you need to look at the thread that you're using, but also the fabric that you're using.
I need to interrupt for a second. Donna Mikowski's on, and she said we are dropping out a lot. So I noticed people were dropping off, and now they're coming back on. Is everybody seeing us okay?
I did put Wi-Fi on. Let me just check that I did have Wi-Fi on there. Sure. Hey guys.
Hi Marilyn. Hi Doris. Hi Gay. Hi Donna. Jack.
We did just have a thunderstorm. Well, I don't know if there was thunder, but we did have a lot of rain.
We've been getting thunder and lightning off and on here.
So might be the issue. I'm
so
so
everybody,
sorry about that.
Yes, everybody seeing us okay right now, I hope. Give us a thumbs up. Oh, Donna says it's going in and out.
All right.
Mary from Delaware says no trouble at all. Marilyn says I'm seeing you just fine. Liz Boswell says no problem here. Video's fine.
Uh-oh, Donna, where are you?
Donna, you haven't. Gay says you're good in Titusville.
Okay, good.
Donna Mikowski, are you having storms over Beachside? That might be a problem.
Or they're coming.
Yeah, or they're coming your way because, boy, it's been storming up here. All righty. Well, we'll continue on.
Okay. So, if you do not know what to use, your safest bet is going to be an embroidery needle, okay? And an embroidery needle, and I've got another little visual here, just shows that the eye of the needle is larger.
Okay.
So right here, the eye of the needle is larger to accommodate that thread, okay? The top stitch needle actually happens to be another one with a very large eye, so that's why they've got these three. All right, so an embroidery needle, you're mostly going to be safe. It actually has a universal point on it, so it's not really a point, it's not really rounded, it's just something kind of in between. So it's kind of safe to use.
So if I inadvertently leave my embroidery needle in, I could still sew?
Yes, certainly. And well, we do it here in the store probably frequently where we use it. So it's not going to be best results on your sewing with an embroidery needle, but of course the needle's going to go through that fabric and it's going to do its best that it can.
Okay.
All right. So what I thought first is I'll show you the things that are available, and then I brought some fabrics out, and I thought you guys can do a shout out at what kind of needle you think it should use. So I'm going to start with some of the more unique ones. And the first one here is a metallic needle. It's actually not just an embroidery needle. You could use this metallic needle when you're sewing too. I've got a couple metallic threads here, just so you can get an example of how pretty and shiny they are. But metallic threads tend to be a little bit more delicate. So the eye of a metallic needle is very large and very smooth, so that it doesn't fray on it at all.
Okay.
Okay. Here is a llama needle. So it actually can be used for sewing or for embroidery also. It's very large. So this is actually a size 100 needle here. And I don't know if we saw in the metallic, I had a 90 there. And llana wool, I don't know if you guys can see just from visually looking at the thread, but it's got a lot of texture to it.
Yeah.
So it makes it a very thick thread when it goes through. So it almost looks like a yarn kind of a thing. So I'm going to pick a needle that has a larger eye and is larger also, because it's got to make a hole for that thread there.
For that large needle, though, you don't use your automatic threader if you have one, do you?
Yes,
can you?
it's just, yes. So there's plenty of room for the automatic needle threader to go through larger needles.
Oh, okay.
It's just the size 60, which is a smaller needle.
Oh, okay.
So quick review, a size 60 needle is a very small needle, and a size 100, 110, those are very large needles. And how you can remember it, so like this is a 100 and also called a size 16 needle. The 100 is for the diameter. So what they did is they took millimeters, the diameter of the millimeters, and well, the number comes from taking the diameter and multiplying it times 100.
Oh,
so like this is 1 meter going 1 millimeter going around. That's a really big needle.
That is a big needle.
A 75 needle.
Need both hands to thread that baby.
We'll need a bigger machine too. A 7511 would be a 0.75 millimeter diameter needle. So that's how you do it. So when you see 75, 80, 90, just take it times, they've taken it times 100 for the millimeters. So it's just a easier way, instead of saying 0.75, 0.90, 1.0, it's just an easier way of saying it.
Donna says, I'm sure hoping we're putting needles on sale tonight. I hope so too, Donna.
We've been missing you, Donna.
Yeah.
So these are anti-glue needles, and when we do embroidery, many times we are doing applique embroidery in the hoop, or gluing all kinds of things on, either with the sprays or Pellon products or whatever. And so the anti-glue needle, again, can be used for sewing.
Okay.
But it's awfully useful for the embroidery machine too. And if you have used a sticky product in your hoop, what happens is your thread actually kind of sticks to the needle because the needle gets all gummed up with that sticky product.
Oh.
And so your threads are going to break and they're going to fray and your needle will be all gunked up and messy. Well, with the coating that they have on this, little Teflon coating that they have on it, it prevents that, and so you'll be able to stitch through just fine.
Okay.
All right, here we have your standard embroidery needles. These are the Class A needles that we carry, and I do have the 7511, the 8012, and the 9014.
Okay.
Those are kind of your standard size embroidery needles. So these embroidery needles, they do have that nice purple labeling with the Class A needles. They have the large eye, and they've got that tip that is not really rounded and not really a point. So it's kind of a universal needle is what it has on there. Okay? And when you are working on something more delicate, and so I brought some fabrics out here. So this is an organza. I also have a silk that I brought out here too.
Okay.
You're going to want to use a finer needle. So you might even want to go down to a 70, which we have the Schmetz, I think, come in some 70 size. But the 75 would probably be okay too. And anyway, you want a thinner needle so that it doesn't make huge holes in your fine fabric.
Okay.
Okay? Now for the 8012s, that's going to be more for your kind of medium weight fabrics. So that might be for this canvas material that I have down here. This is a little bit thicker canvas material.
Okay.
So you might want to use that on this one. By the way, this is just a cotton print, and the 7511 will be perfect for that. So the 7511 will be great for that.
All right.
And then the size 90 here is if you've got really thicker fabric. So if you've got a denim material, or maybe you're stitching on felt, perhaps you want to use a 90. A lot of times I just use a 75 on this one too. So it might depend what you're doing. But, and this is a thin felt, so this would be like a real thick wool one maybe. Or your denim jacket. Okay? This one here, I did bring out the top stitch needle just to show everybody that the top stitch needle is also an appropriate needle that can be used in your embroidery machine. Because that top stitch needle has a very large eye, so it's going to accommodate that trend. Now, the difference between an embroidery needle and some of these other needles, although these are embroidery too, but like the top stitch needle, or just taking a regular sewing machine needle and embroidering with that, is they've made this scarf in a way that it's to cause less tension and fraying and less pull on it, on the thread. So it's going to be a better, I'm at a loss for words, Anne, but less stress on that thread. All right, so that you can get a nice stitch. So believe it or not, the size of the eye and that scarf do change the tension of your machine. So when you do use different needles, you might have to adjust the tension based on the type that you're using. We also carry the organ needles here. And the organ needles, I like carrying these is because they have the titanium, and that means that your needle is going to last longer, 3 to 5 times longer. And so you can, use that same needle. But what I like about them too is that they do offer the embroidery needle with different points and different sizes. So this is a sharp right here, and that's in size 8012. And here's a sharp in a 7511. So both of those would be very appropriate for my prints and my silks and everything like that. I particularly like to use it I also brought a batik fabric over here. So batik fabrics are a much tighter weave than your regular cotton prints. And so I really like to have a sharp point on that. So this 7511 or the 8012 is what I'm going to be using on a batik fabric with that sharp point. It's just going to do a better job of penetrating that fabric. And then they also carry them in the ballpoint. And so with the ballpoint, That one has a very rounded tip to it.
Yeah.
And it's going to be excellent for polo shirts, onesies, knits, all those type of things, fabrics that if you pierce the thread, you would have raveling, or you would, get a hole in it. Okay?
Got it.
And then the ones that I had over here, here's another metallic thread. So we carry both the Madeira and the Class A format there. And then I just wanted to show this Lana one. This is actually a 110. So we have it in a 100 and we even have it in a 110. Mm-hmm. But you're starting to get to be a pretty thick needle.
It's a pretty big needle.
Yeah, he's getting to be pretty big.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty. And then I also brought out the denim or the jeans needle. So here's my embroidery. Yeah, look at the difference. So this is my embroidery 7511, and this is my jean needle 9014.
Yeah.
Oh, actually it's a 110. 110.
110.
I'm sorry, 110. So quite a bit of difference in size. So that's going to make a large hole. Mm-hmm. But he's also a stronger needle. He has a much stronger core to it. So stitching on a denim jacket, a real heavy denim jacket, you can use like a 90. I don't know if I'd go all the way up to 110. That's going to be some serious work there.
Yeah.
Okay. Or you can just go up and just use a larger needle, like a 90, a size 90 needle.
All right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I also then brought out the quilting needle, which is this green one right here. And again, I love that Class A has them nicely color coded so that I know what it is. So it's a 7511.
Okay.
So let me put that up to my embroidery needle. These are both 7511s. One's an embroidery and one's the quilting needle. I mean, with my eyeballs, I can't see the difference.
I was thinking, I can't see a difference. I hope you're going to tell us what the difference is.
Well, that's why it's important to, either keep your packaging, label it. So even though the needle looks like it's fine and you're ready to embroider, it is important to get the correct one, because on this embroidery needle, the eye is going to be larger. So it's going to accommodate your thicker threads. Mm-hmm. The point is going to be rounded just a little bit so that it can, and the reason they do that is many times when you embroider, you're stitching on top of other stitches. So the theory is that it will break less threads as if you have a really dense design or something like that. But my point is that use the right needle, even though a needle is a needle and it's not broken, so I'm going to use it. That is not going to get your best results.
Oh, okay.
Try to use the correct one.
Now Liz asks, would you use the 110 needle on canvas? How you showed the 110?
A really thick canvas, yes, you certainly can. I don't think it's necessary to get that big for when you're doing embroidery with a 40 weight. So if you're doing embroidery with like a 12 weight, yes, then maybe. Let me show the 12 weight thread here. So that 12 weight thread is thicker. Although in this particular example, just a 9014 top stitch needle was used.
Oh, okay.
All right, so
yep.
I don't think that you're going to need a 110. You'd have to be really doing something very serious.
Yeah, really.
That's getting bigger.
Okay.
So I think of material that I'm sewing on, and I think of the hole that I'm going to make. So if I'm stitching on vinyl, like that Hello Pouches little class that's going to be holding, if I decided I did want to embroider on that vinyl, I'm going to want a very fine needle. So I want a 7511, maybe even a 70 size needle, so that it makes very tiny holes, because I don't want to make holes so big that I'm going to have a perforation and my design will pop right out of it. So you do need to think of how big does my hole need to be.
So Connie from Georgia, hey Connie.
Hey Connie.
She says, so are there different size embroidery needles, let's say for towels, if you're going to do towels? Does it matter what you use, let's say for the ones with a heavy nap versus just like a tea towel?
So that's a good question, and I am thinking that I can think of some very, very thick towels out there. So I guess if it's a really thick plush towel, I might not use a 75/11 on that. I might go up to a 90/14. So be thinking of your thread weight and how thick that towel is.
Okay.
So definitely. And, one thing to remember too, a 75 to a 80 to a 90, we are talking still small increments. I mean, those are still pretty small. But a thicker towel, I would probably be tempted to use an 80 or a 90 on that, just to make sure that I get a nice stitch out of it.
Okay, good.
And in reading, so I did some research before coming on tonight. I, of course, have my own experience and things that I use and everything like that. And so in reading out there's a lot of information, and it really is trial and error. So the best way to do it is to take a sample and to just try and see the best results that you think you can get using different needles.
Okay. Good information, Beth.
Well, hopefully a little bit helpful. I think they're still confusing, but think of size. How big do I want that hole to be? And then just think, in embroidery, if at all possible, I want a large eye and the correct scarf so that my thread is not going to fray or have extra tension. Because if it does increase the tension of it coming down here, then I might have to go into my tension settings and adjust it a little bit. So, of course, we all hate to do that. So try to save yourself heartache if you can.
Yep, you know me too well, Beth.
Many of you have gotten our ABC Pocket Guide by the Schmetz Company. And only found a few. We'll be glad to give them out. Now, they are focused on sewing. In this one, they list the type of needle to use for the different fabrics that are listed on the bottom there.
Mm-hmm.
Let me get to one that has the fabrics listed. One moment. So, like this one has velour jersey. So that's a knit fabric, so they want you to use a stretch needle on that.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, that would probably work in your embroidery machine, but a better choice is probably going to be your embroidery ballpoint needle, because that embroidery needle is going to have the larger eye.
Got it.
So if you're at home and you know you're going to stitch on a onesie and you don't have an embroidery ballpoint, then get some type of knit needle, and that will be a good backup. Just know that because that hole's not big enough, the scarf is not quite right on that needle, there might be more tension. So you might need to slow your machine down, lower your tension, and you can get this good results. So they won't be best results, but you can get good results.
Okay.
Because we're all in that pinch at night where I got to get it done, and what can I substitute?
Yeah. And the store's closed, and I got to get it.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Because the baby shower is on Saturday, and I'm at home Friday night, and oh my gosh, what am I going to do?
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Good. All righty.
So hopefully that's helpful. Please let us know if you've got any questions, and we'll do the best we can.
Okay. So, of course, to answer Donna's question, are we putting the needles on sale or no?
Yes, I think we should.
Okay.
I think we should.
All needles?
Yes.
All needles?
All sewing machine needles.
All sewing machine needles? 20% off.
20% off.
Okay.
That sounds like a winner.
All righty. Through Saturday.
Yeah.
Does that sound good?
And then please come in, and if you'd like the little booklet, we'd be glad to give it to you.
Yes, we would. And we'll order more books to make sure we've got them on hand.
Yeah.
We do love having those on hand. They're really
helpful.
They are.
Even, all of us need to refer.
Yep. Okay, so I think that's going to do it for tonight, right?
Yes.
We're going to give you a sneak peek.
Oh, yeah, sneak peek of fabric.
Sneak peek. Oh, we got some stuff in.
There's some gorgeous batiks with
But
gold.
you got to wait till tomorrow to see it.
Yep. We're going to have Lori do the introduction of it, and then hopefully when we do our Facebook tomorrow, we will also have some patterns to go with it, because, boy, they're beautiful, guys.
Mm-hmm. Got some really yummy fabric.
Yeah.
And we've already got a head start on St. Patrick's Day for next year. Woohoo! Forget Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. We're jumping
ready.
ahead.
We're ready for St. Patrick's Day.
We are. Connie asked, did y'all save me the leaf kit? Yes, we did, Connie. All right. So we're going to sign off for tonight. We'll be back on tomorrow.
Yep.
Right?
Stay safe, everybody.
Yep.
All
Bye
right.
bye now.
Thank you for waiting for us.
Yep. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye.